To protect him, Capone was a sitting duck.
You ain't so big anymore, are ya?
The big man was roughed up, beaten, and even stabbed. But Capone had carried his real killer with him to Alcatraz. A case of untreated syphilis was eating his brain and slowly driving him insane. He ended up locked in the bug cage, the fenced-off section of the hospital for mental patients. Still the tough guy, Capone fought with his ward mate, not with guns or knives, but bedpans, full bedpans. Afterwards, the once mighty crime czar had to be washed off with a hose. Look up ahead at the three-story guards' barracks above the landing dock. You'll also see a metal frame tower in the right corner of the dock.
The tower that you see is the dock tower. It was manned 24 hours a day. It had a large group of weapons, had a 30-06 rifle, 30 caliber rifle, tear gas gun, 38 revolver. Men were shot and killed from that tower.
One officer would sit up on the top of that tiny tower, 75 feet above the island, locked in for 8 hours at a time, watching, just watching, no matter what kind of weather.
Sometimes you thought you were in heaven. When the fog would come in, you could hardly see.
George DeVincenzi was an Alcatraz guard in the 50s.
I was in the dock tower the day that they closed the Golden Gate Bridge. They had over 100-mile-an-hour gales, and I'm on that dock tower, and it was swinging and swaying like Sammy Kaye's music. The water in the commode was spinning around. The tower was shaking. And I said, my God, if this goes over, I'm going to end up in a bay locked up in this cage.
On the walls of the guards' barracks, you can still see writing from the Indian occupation of 1969 to 1971. Look for the words Indian land and Indians welcome. A group of 89 Native Americans claimed the island, held out there for 2 years. Historian John Martini is here to explain what happened.
They claimed Alcatraz under an old treaty that said that male members of the Great Sioux Nation could homestead unused excess federal property. It was the first time in nearly a century when Indians of all tribes had gathered together for a common purpose.
In the end, the Indians were forced off the island. They were probably the only inhabitants of Alcatraz ever to leave unwillingly. Up the hill, you can see a partially destroyed building with open, empty windows. This was once a luxurious Spanish mission-style mansion, home to the Alcatraz Warden. It burned in a fire that broke out during the Indian occupation. All that is left is this battered shell. Looking at these cliffs passing by, you can get a close-up view of why Alcatraz is called the Rock. When the army first arrived, the island was so barren that there weren't even any plants. There wasn't any dirt for them to grow in. Soil had to be imported here from Angel Island before anything bloomed on the Rock. It didn't take long for someone to try to escape from Alcatraz. Just 2 years after the prison opened, guards saw a lone man struggling over the wire fence. They took aim, and he fell to his death into the bay. There is no definite proof that any prisoner ever escaped Alcatraz alive, but that didn't keep desperate men from trying. 36 of them in all.
You cannot take away from a man the thought that he wants his freedom.
I could see out the window at nighttime, and you can see kind of over by the Berkeley coastline there, and you can see all the lights over there.
There's everything I want in my life, and it's there. It's a mile or a mile and a half away, and yet I can't get to it.
That wide open area, just past the cell house, is the prison exercise yard. Once a week on Sunday, inmates were allowed out in the yard. For just 2 hours, life there could seem normal. They could sit in the sun, read, maybe play a game of softball with friends.
occasionally, some guy would get exuberant and knock the ball over the wall. But if you knock the ball over the wall, you're out. It's not a home run, and you can't go to the other side to get it either.
That long, white, two-story building was the prison industries.
There were a number of attempted escapes that started from that building. There was one incident where the inmates got to the top of the building. You'll see a small tower there. They were going to attack that tower. The officer spotted him, and he shot and killed one and wounded another, and the other was captured.
The whole top floor of the industries building was a laundry. Alcatraz inmates washed uniforms for all the armed forces around the Bay Area. The laundry arrived on an army boat and was delivered by soldiers. That gave one very smart inmate an idea. Slowly and patiently, he began to collect bits and pieces of uniforms as they made their way through the laundry. And when I say patient, I mean it. It took him 10 years to do it, but he finally collected a complete army uniform, dog tags and all. Armed with nothing more than a Texaco map and a few dollars in change, he calmly strolled down to the dock and walked onto the boat with the rest of the soldiers. He made it as far as Angel Island. Alcatraz guards were there to meet him with a pair of handcuffs, and he quietly rowed the boat back to the rock. One guard captain said he kind of felt sorry for the guy. He should have won an award for his efforts. Today, names like Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman, are world famous. But other Alcatraz inmates were equally evil, though their names might be forgotten, like Billy Cook. He murdered 12 people in cold blood.
Oh, Billy Cook. I never liked him. He spit in my face once.
George DeVincenzi.
He killed a mother and a father and 3 children and threw them down a well. He was given 300 years and put on Alcatraz. And talk about a psychopath, he was one. Because he killed a California Highway Patrol officer, they gave him the death penalty. He was executed at San Quentin. So I took a busman's holiday and went over there and watched him get executed. He was an animal as far as I'm concerned.
Think about your first day on the job, or maybe your first day at a new school. I bet it was nothing like George DeVincenzi's first day on Alcatraz.
I reported 9 o'clock Monday morning, and I was told to go to the barbershop. I was the barbershop officer. This one inmate, the barber, proceeded to give his first customer a haircut. And as he was giving him a haircut, they were conversing in low tones very intimately. I could not quite figure what was going on. And as the haircut proceeded, the conversation got more intense. Next thing you know, the customer who was getting the haircut got up out of the chair, and the barber lunged at him with these big barber shears about 10 inches long. He got him in the neck, in the heart, and the throat. Down he went, blood flying all over the place. And me, like a damn fool, blowing the whistle, I jumped in trying to separate him. The 3 of us spun around, knocked the barber chair over, knocked another cabinet over, and he kept hitting him with these scissors. Of course, he was dead within less than a minute. Needless to say, that was the end of the shears in the barbershop. They went electric clippers after that. That was my introduction to Alcatraz, my first day.
While the inmates inside could only think about getting away from the island, generations of San Franciscans were equally fascinated with getting a closer look, just like you today. How could they resist? The most famous criminals in the whole country were caged up all together right here in their backyard.
On Sundays, there'd be pleasure boats going around the island. And on a beautiful day, you could hear the actual people talking on the boats. And there would be sailboats, and they'd be having pretty girls in bikinis, drinking cocktails as the boat went around the island. Here's the inmates on the top cells look through the windows and see what was going on.